In this book, Yes to Life, I think you have to ask your question, are you saying yes to life? You can either deny life, right, and act like it's something that is just going on and you're just a observer, innocent bystander, so to speak, or you can be proactive with it. So let's go through some of these things that I underlined on my flight back from Italy, give you my perspective. Happiness should not, must not, and can never be a goal, but only an outcome. The outcome of the fulfillment of that which in Tagore's poem is called duty, and that we will later try to define more closely. Kierkegaard had the parable that said the door to happiness always opens outward. So that's the key thing right there. The door to happiness always opens outward. People think they can push their way into happiness because they deserve to be happy or they want to be happy. The door to happiness opens inward. That means, what are you grateful for, right? Like when you can tune into these stations in your head, what are you grateful for? What are you giving to others as far as your attention, your gifts and whatnot? That door opens inward. You can't just decide, I want to barge in and be happy. It's inward. So the more internal reflection, internal growth we have, the more happiness will find us. It's like the mistress in the night, right? It ain't going to be there just because you're going to look for it. It kind of finds you when circumstance dictates it should, but it's internal, right? I guarantee you, if you're jotting down what you're grateful for and you're really grateful for the stuff in your life, that's when you're going to be the happiest. You can't be happy all the time, though. That's a key thing. But the door to happiness opens inward. The meaning of the present moment, it changes hour to hour and from person to person. The question is entirely different in each moment for every individual. The meaning of life, that's going to change depending where you're at. That changes for me now that I'm 40 versus when I was 30, without children, without the same distance into my career. But that's going to change from person to person. It's an individual thing. So to think that there's only one answer of that, now I do believe it's self-actualization, and you have to continue to go up the rung and you come back your spirit until it reaches the point where it doesn't need your physical body anymore. But the meaning of your life, or lifetimes, however many times you have to be here to learn what you have to learn, will continue to evolve and change. If I step onto my misfortune, I stand higher. I talked about this in last Monday morning's Mental Toughness Monday video. You are going to have misfortune. That's part of the deal. You can either try to cover your eyes or put your head in the sand and pretend that it doesn't exist and that it's just going to go away, or you step up on it like a phone book. Step up on it. Now you're taller. Now you can reach up. I had to step on a little stool last week when I was putting a new fire alarm up downstairs. Couldn't quite reach the ceiling comfortably to do it just standing from the ground. So you step up. So picture that little stool as like, boom, you're stepping up. Right? You're stepping up onto something. It's going to lift you higher. You're going to grow through that. And in some cases, endurance is the greatest achievement. I always tell people when it comes up or when people ask of me something about success, which something I like to study a lot, and it always feels like it's fleeting, right? It always feels like it's just out there. When you look back, you say, man, I have had a lot of successful moments in my life. But sometimes it's just because of the consistency and the persistence. That goes down to execution versus completion. And you can see how when you read something and then you just start talking about it, reflecting, it doesn't say anything about that in the book, but these are ideas that come up, right? That's why I think it's so important to read and then speak about that. But endurance, can you hang in there long enough? Endurance is a skill. It is a complete skill set because it's a mindset. And a mindset is a skill, and all skills can be learned, guys. I told you guys, I've told you guys in the past, ever since I was a young guy, 8 years old, 7 years old maybe, I had this obsession with death because this young boy from our old neighborhood in Michigan, we found out when we moved here to New Jersey to Bound Brook that this kid had passed away. He had an aneurysm, and it scared the heck out of me because at that age, you're not really thinking about death. You know, it's not necessarily something that in our culture that parents are going to talk to you about at that age. And I went on this quest, and it's something I still think about often. I still reflect upon. I think I have a different way than most people are dealing with death when it comes to somebody close to me dying, because I know this is part of the process. But death forms the background against which our act of being becomes a responsibility. So death creates the urgency within your life. Death creates urgency. Think about this, if you were going to live forever in the same body, first of all, why would you want to do that? Second, there would be no impetus to do anything right now because you would always have tomorrow. You'd always have next year. You'd always have 100 years from now. There'd be no urgency. So death creates the urgency for you to live life at its maximum, right? At its maximum. Any hour whose demand we did not fulfill or that we fulfill half-heartedly is an hour forfeited for all of eternity. Don't waste your time. That is what I was just talking about. Death creates this urgency that's just kind of pushing along the track. It's coming. It's pushing you along those tracks. And if you throw in the towel for any moment of life just because you want to give up, you can't get that back. And we've all done it, but just realize that it's not something you get back. You got to seize the moments and be present, right? Your thoughts, your words, and then your actions. That's what you want to carry forth to each and every moment. In which we radiate into this world the waves that emanate from our being. That is what will remain of us when our being itself has long since passed. So the radiation, the energy that you radiate out into the world, that will remain. Your concepts, your philosophies. This is a reason I believe it's important for you to keep a journal or a vlog or something so people in your family can look back upon it. Or you write your philosophies, I'm always writing about my philosophies with the physical fitness and mind, body, spirit. That stuff's going to live on, hopefully long after I'm gone. But though that's energy that I'm radiating out. This podcast is radiating out. It's going to connect with somebody, and it might change their thought. Then boom, they're going to have a different thought that's going to connect to somebody else. So you got to realize that the energy that you radiate is very powerful. How about this? Maxwell Kant, live as if you were living for the second time and as if you had acted the first time as wrongly as you're about to act now. So what if you lived the second time? Would you look at your regrets in your moments of greatness differently? Would you look at things that this is not a practice necessarily. It is in some ways, but as far as this physical body, this particular lifetime, this is what you got, right? If it's a second time, if you pretend it's the second time going around, what would you change? So that's what you have to change now is your mindset, to be present in the moment, to be with what you're doing, to realize that you are the one deciding, making decisions. You are the creator of your life. You are the one that's creating this. Each and every moment is a moment of creation. It says, don't forget this. This is the last one I'll go over for today, and then I'll be doing a podcast later in the week probably about nutrition. The early days of Kyle Newell nutrition, which I think you'll get a kick out of. But the human psyche seems to be having away in some ways like a vaulted arch. An arch that has become dilapidated can be supported by placing extra load on it. The human soul also appears to be strengthened by experiencing a burden. So when you get these burdens, when you get these tough times, like these strange times we lived through the past few years, some people reach out to me to have unbelievable things going on in their life. They're battling cancer. They're having multiple loved ones passed away within short periods of time. And then they find us. Or then we get the chance to speak with them. those things, guys, are mental and spiritual resistance training. You're going to get stronger doing those things, just like if you were in the gym, hitting the weights, trying to get your body bigger and stronger. You need this stuff for mental and spiritual growth, the resistance training. So are you saying yes to life? That's some stuff for you to think about. Live life on your terms. Live life with responsibility, not reactionary. If you're just reacting, you're not living, because you're just allowing things to happen, which you are still calling into your world, believe it or not, by your thought patterns, but you're allowing them to happen. If response is the higher level self-actualization part of the human brain. So that's what I got for you today, guys. You can go to kylenewell.com/manual to get on my email list over there. And stay tuned for the podcast later in the week. What I might start doing with the second one, too, is just going for a walk and talking, with live and seeing what comes up. Or maybe I'll do it over a few beers on Friday. That could be entertaining. But hit the like button, hit the thumbs up. And if you have an athlete or you are an athlete and you want to join our summer training athlete program, it begins today. You can always join late, but that's something we're real excited to bring back to Newell Strength. All right, guys, I will catch you later.